Hello there, and welcome back to War Thunder. Today I am in the Tisma, and this is a very nice plane. Reward, it comes with the full premium modifier. And what is this thing? Well, it is the first plane reward that I want to show you from the ongoing Operation Frost. And it is a Soviet battle rating 3.7, rank 3, full-fledged premium twin-engine fighter. Not heavy fighter, twin-engine fighter. Whatever that means, it doesn't really make all that much difference. It is basically very similar to a Peshka in its overall performance, but it doesn't have air brakes. But the rest is pretty nice. So, is this plane worth it? I think it's really cool, it's really usable, it's versatile, and if you really like ground striking, as you can see me doing here in Tank RB for a change, and later on also one match in Air RB because it's quite funny, you can see its potential. Now, the plane, as I said, is very diverse. It comes with two different loadouts for its gunnery. The first one, which is the most impressive looking one, is that you have two 20mm Schwachs with 300 rounds between them, and then two 45mm NS45 cannons with 100 rounds between them. They are very impressive, and if you shoot at a big bomber and you one-shot them, that's quite nice. But on the other hand, you know, you have a master velocity on the 45mm HE shells of 780 meters per second with 4 millimeters of penetration. And nobody guarantees you that sparks ain't happening, right? And this is where I think the second loadout is significantly better usable. It still has two 20mm Schwachs with 300 rounds, but then two 37mm NS37s with 150 rounds between them. And you also can just switch to the air targets. They have a higher mass velocity of 900 meters per second, so it's easier to hit the target. You have more ammunition, 150 instead of 100 rounds, and 3 millimeters of penetration, and so you can pump more rounds into an enemy targets if sparks occur. And again, the 20mm, they are really sparky as well at the moment, and that is not nice. This is backed up by a heavy machine gun, a 12.7mm, with some very nice belts, and this is obviously the Berezin heavy machine gun, 200 rounds. A very reliable weapon and really nice. Then we also have some additional loadout. I'm not done yet. You have either two 100 kilogram bombs, two 200 kilogram bombs, or two 500 kilogram bombs. And on top of this, you also can switch to rockets, either high explosive rockets, 8 of them, with 355 meters per second maximum speed on the trajectory, with 40 millimeters of penetration, or semi-armor piercing rockets, again 335 meters per second mass velocity, and at 10 meters distance point blank range for suicide runs, 85 millimeters of penetration, but for distance of 500 meters, still 75 millimeters against flat armor. So very diverse loadout, right? And for the 37s, which is the major selling point for the 37s versus the 45s, not just the more ammunition, but also you can switch to armor piercing belts with 880 meters per second, 60 millimeters of penetration at point blank range, and at 500 meters just above 40 millimeters. So very nice versus lightly armored vehicles. You have quite a lot of ammunition, and as you can see, the plane is reasonably maneuverable. Again, this is not a Zero. This is not one of those Japanese heavy fighters with insane power output of the engines, but it's nice to fly. That's basically the summary of it. So I tried to fly it as a fighter, but you still have to compete with the likes of Bf-109, Spitfires, you know, because they get spammed out. The reason for this is because everybody tries to fulfill the tasks, both in Tank RB and also Air RB, and you feel this with the choice of vehicles of people, so they are always flying out in those fully spaded vehicles. And you have to start from the runway. You don't get an air start. You do not get an air start. You have to start from the airfield. While you can keep up with them once you are at altitude, you just don't have the engine performance to support the rest of the vehicle. A lot of other planes are just simply faster intercepting the bombers, and they also go easier and quicker to altitude and perform there as well. Now let's just have a quick look at the battle, right? Because this is pretty funny. So as you can see, I just launched a blind hunt order, and the reason for that was I tried to figure out where exactly the last enemy player is, because I just returned to base, and the second I tried to harvest those light pillboxes, he knows where I am, and I just tried to get a bit more of those ground targets into the bank. In theory, I could single-handedly win here the battle for my team, but obviously the last player doesn't allow to do me so, and the other teammates that are just survived are both RTBing, and they're just landing. So I'm pretty greedy here, I'm pretty impatient, and then I, despite taking here the wide route, I try to go for the light pillboxes here. Again, for the rockets, I'm not the best rocket users, and there are only 4 launches. They cost you also a lot of performance, and so I think if you really have good aim with the guns, you're better off with the guns in ground RB. But obviously, this is just for maximizing purposes. There you can see the single shot are pretty precise, but once you just try to spray down, then the accuracy goes really downhill quite a lot, and you just have to stop firing for the guns to get accurate again, to not overheat quickly as well. And as you can see, I'm reasonably good at just destroying the pillboxes. You don't need all that much ammunition. You can see that I still have plenty of ammunition left after even quite a few kills, and I'm still observing him, so he is keeping the distance on me. That's fine by me. So I try to go here for a few rockets kills, which is nice as well. And can we get the kill? Yeah, that's beautiful. And just as I look up, now he's turning around. Either he has spotted me, or he has looked at the... Obviously, he has seen the messages in the kill feed that destroy the pillboxes of his side. He knows exactly where his pillboxes are. I must be near them. So I try to fly near the coastline of the central lake and try to get him a little bit confused. I try to give my remaining fighters now enough time to bait him down, you know, because he had a severe altitude advantage. And now I try to fly below him, because obviously he thinks that I'm still turning around to get more pillboxes. But this is where I use the blind hunt order. Obviously now it has switched, but now he's close enough. The question is, does he see me? Yeah, it seems like he is seeing me. My only chance here is the head-on, okay? And he's very smart initially, and he goes up. And now I use my favorite tactic in this situation, well, the only choice that you have, and I go low. And then I try to turn in circles. And there you can see when the plane goes under a certain speed, it's not really that maneuverable. And now, watch him. I turn into him, then I just don't try to give him the deflection shot, and good German plane fighter handling. Yeah, he crashes in his superior Bf-109G. So yeah, we are the noobs, right? I love when this happens, and this was really worth showcasing. So let's have a quick look at the results before we move on with talking about the rest of the battles, right? So that is a decent result, I think, for 21 pillboxes destroyed. They are real pillboxes, and securing the victory with no further targets destroyed and just no planes further taken down. Nearly 47,000 civilians and nearly 10,000 RP. That's okay, but I think a lot of players are really interested. How is the plane doing in ground RB? So I just turned around and I tried to get some good hits in. There you could see the spread, the insane spread. If you just pull through and you just keep the trigger pulled, and that is just a lot of waste of ammunition. And so short bursts on target and then fly off again. That also keeps you alive longer, because very often, at least I very often crash in ground RB when I try to still get the hits in. And yeah, that plane also drifted a bit to the side. Now the arch nemesis, I have to say here, are obviously SPA, and especially the R3 spam. Let's make no mistake here. They get spawned, they try to cap, they just try to rush for the cap, and they also are very good at shooting down planes. Not to say when you're very often up against the Germans, then Wirbelwind, Ostwind, etc., depending on the exact battle rating where you are. So there is an enemy plane, and now I try to deal with this guy. And there you can see the heavy machine gun. It has a very nice mass velocity as well. I can aim with this pretty nicely. I hit him, but I don't do the damage. That's usually my luck. When I'm sitting behind any sort of Russian plane, I catch that one bullet that either instant pilot snipes me or it just cripples my engine and I have to RTB anyways. But this guy is pretty lucky, and also my aim is not the very best. And also in this case, the accuracy of the heavy machine gun is quite horrible. Thankfully, I am returning actually to my side of the map, and you can see that the plane has a reasonable speed. You can easily hit 470 kilometers per hour in a level flight. With the rockets, with the bombs, it doesn't really matter. But the second, obviously, you try to turn, then you lose quite a lot of speed. And I have to say, the plane has no air brakes, but it loses so much speed when you try to use the rudder. It's insane. I don't know if this is accurate with the flight model. I haven't flown the Peshkas in quite a while, but that is quite impressive. Now let's have a look at the 20s, and there you could see the sparks of the 20s and also the sparks of the armor-piercing 37mm. Well, it's okay if I spark with the AP-37 if I just punch clean through the wing. But obviously if I should hit the engine or the pilot's cockpit, then I should do tremendous amounts of damage. But, that's just how it is. So, very often I had the luck when I spawned and I gathered enough spawn points to go into the plane, that then the enemy spawned a lot of enemy planes as well, and I was the only one there. So this is why it took quite a bit of time to get here some decent footage, and this battle here is quite nice to be sure. And yoink. Yeah, fuck the wolves. I'm gonna head on. So the funny thing is, I saw that there was an enemy plane and now I left him, but I still hear him. So where the hell is he? I have no idea. My only choice is to turn around and oh, hello there. So that was quite nice, and you can see the damage model, it looks really shot up. I also get a hit on this guy, but now the handling is rather stiff, I have to say. I try to get some hits in as well, and then we get a funny pilot snipe. It's always funny when that happens. It looks like all the shell miss, but I don't know, I'll take it. So the one thing that I really have to stress out versus heavily armed targets, such as KV-2s, or even such as T-34s, you have no chance with the 37mm. And obviously because the 45 doesn't have armor-piercing shells as well, that is only good for, the meme kills. If you really dislike an enemy plane, then the 45s are great. But only then. Again, less ammo, less mass velocity, and no armor-piercing on the 45s. So I have to stress it because very often I say something in the video and people then ask questions in the comment section anyways. So the big question is obviously if this plane gets sold on the marketplace and you didn't have time for it to be played for, how much value would I give it in Gaijin coins, or if you just are willing to go for it via the 1000 golden eagles per tasks? Well, I have to say, I would give it, let's be generous, 10 euros. 10 euros for the utmost. I think the event is playable. If you have time, if you're a student, then you only have to fulfill 6 tasks. That's more than doable. I think with those plane tasks, they are really doable if you only go for planes. It depends how much of a good War Thunder player you are. It depends if you want to go for ships and tanks as well. Then it takes quite a bit of time. But without that, I think it's doable. So you could see that I'm also starting here again in this battle. The one thing that I did wrong here was that I thought that I would have a backup on this. And so after this attack run, I bailed out, and then I couldn't join the battle despite it being displayed. This is how often I go and use planes in tank RB. I never use them. I think they are a cancer. It's absolutely not my playstyle. I despise aircraft in tank RB. I hate to get destroyed by them. I think they destroy a lot of tactical diversity when it comes to positioning. Look at this guy, okay? He is here in, what is it, a Stück? And I hit him. He's now on fire, and yeah, it looks like he's burning down or something. And there I get the kill on a Stück 3G. He took all the way to go around and position himself nicely. And I just saw one muzzle flash, and then I killed him, right? And then look at this. This is now the T-34. And I just couldn't penetrate. Yes, I hit the track quite often, but I also hit the side armor even more often. And thanks to the add-on armor, but also thanks to some Soviet magic armor versus Soviet guns, because they are German premium, I couldn't pen him from the side, despite it being dead flat on, right? And even coming from above to deny him a little bit of angling. And then he actually made a smart turn. I don't know if it was intentional, but he actually angled away from me. So that probably saved him here as well, or at least it helped. And obviously now I am a bit under stress because there is an SPA shooting at me. And at the moment I'm the only plane in the air. So that is quite annoying. I already had a good round. 2 tank kills and 2 planes. So let's see what we can do further. And again, it is this T-34. Again, I'm coming from above to shoot at the angled side armor. My guns were nearly overheating, and again I hit the side of the tank's hull, and it was just not enough. So because I think it is rendered as APCR, if I'm not mistaken, the shells have really bad performance versus even the slightest of angled armor, and hey, it is named after APT, but it behaves like APCR. And then we had a nice kill on the Soki. Now I'm again looking. Oh, what is that? What is that? Is that a German open-top tank destroyer? Well, that is very thin side plating. It's open-top, so I can use my 20s as well. I open up, and just a short burst. Yep, there is the kill. Nicely done. And again, I tried my luck here versus this T-34, but it was not to be. This guy survived all the attacks. Now, the problem was that I didn't have enough spawn points actually for using the bombs here, only with the cannons. And you can see what I could do as well with the cannons alone. So if I only had some nice 500 kilogram bombs, this T-34 would have been toast as well. And this guy, well, he was the best pilot, obviously, as well. Look at him looping. Yeah, loop-de-loop, loop-de-loop. He's in a much more maneuverable plane with much better horsepower to ton ratio, much better power output, maneuverability. And he decides to fly in a circle in front of me. And there you could see those were the 20s, and they are not really that effective, are they? And the second I fire the 37s, I get a pilot snipe. Yeah, it feels a bit like Hispanos with those 37mm AP shots. And there again is then the T-34. And he actually captures this, and he plays very well. And he actually wins the game for them in this round. So I make a shout out for the rest of my team, what they can await. And then I went to RTB and bailed actually out. And it was not good enough to go back into the plane, despite me having enough spawn points. Next battle, and we try our luck again, this time with some missiles, rockets, sorry. We get a direct hit on the back of the turret, but yeah, that absorbed actually the HE shot, or the HE blast. And then an enemy plane is coming in, and again I tried to make the same tactic here as well. Sadly I couldn't get guns on this guy, because he is certainly open-topped as well, or very thin armor plating. I think it's one of those Italian big gun low meme cars. Something like this. Couldn't get quite sight on him. And just when I think I could meme him, come on. Nope. He was angled just enough. And now this looks like a thunderbolt. And come on, can I duel him? There you can see how much I bleed speed by pulling up and also trying to use the rudder. I have to go down, and he nearly gets guns on me, so that was pretty close. But again, instead of boom and zooming me, he tries to turn fight me in the not greatest turn fighter the German tech tree has seen as well. And now he tries to go in scissor with me. And he just does everything wrong, right? He does everything wrong. And at this point I have the sneaky suspicion feeling that he just might be susceptible for some mind game tricks. So I'm stalling out here. I would be very vulnerable to SPA and another fighter, obviously, but I cannot run away from a P-47. But you know, I have the best weapon there in War Thunder, the ground. And also the enemy not seeing me is very helpful. This is a very big target, ME410. And again, we set him on fire with one quick burst. I'm not quite sure if it was the 37 or if it was the 20mm, but I'll take it anyway. And yeah, again, then we have here, I think, a Churchill, and sadly, I can't pen him. So that's it all for today. I hope you enjoyed the video on the Tisma, a plane that I like, very versatile for both air RP, for ground striking, for bomber hunting, all the things that you want. And again, that's it for me today. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a like with it, subscribe if you want to see more, and we'll see each other as usual on the waves, in the skies, and on the battlefields of War Thunder.